Live the golden days of Stockton? Join Nate Knott on Stockton Alive every first and third Monday at 6 p.m. Tune into thevoiceofstockton.org.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Julie Dameron, local veterinarian for over 20 years. I am so excited about my new radio show, Tales and Tips, on Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, Voice of Stockton, and KXVS Radio. I will discuss relevant issues affecting animals and pet owners today, how to avoid common problems, and how to extend the quality of life for your cherished companions. As a community advocate, I will also discuss important social issues that affect our city. I plan to showcase organizations and heroes who are doing amazing things to help others. Remember to tune in every Tuesday morning at 10, starting soon.
My name is Josh, and you're listening to KXVS, the voice of Stockton, 92.1 FM.
The views and opinions expressed in the following program do not necessarily reflect those of KXVS, the voice of Stockton, or its parents, affiliates, management, and staff.
The voice of San Joaquin presents St. Mary's Sports with your hosts, Rick Pulaski and Zach Lytle.
Good evening and welcome to 2019, our first show of the year. We have special guests. Some of us have been around. You've seen us. We're going to get to our special guests in just a minute. But to my right, Mr. Zach Lytle, the co-host and voice of Stockton St. Mary's hockey, and a player, somebody that knows me too well, Anthony Alvarado, and our wonderful head coach, Derek Eisler, and our special guest. We got her all the way out of Murata, California, Miss Renee Eisler, the coach's wife. So we're going to get some dirt on the coach later on in the show. And we hold it against him through most of the season and see where we go from there. But, Coach, I'm going to go to you right away and start this up and give us a recap of the first half of the season for St. Mary's. Where we started and where we're at today. What are your – and we'll get Zach in here too, but you first.
I think in a quick – from August to December here at our first break, I think that everything went – kind of as planned. Losing one player right off the gate, going down to 14 kind of hurt us in losing Max Clark over the summer to a knee injury. It kind of changed things around, kind of changed where we wanted to be. Anthony here obviously playing some defense. We had that kind of change because of that scenario. I think some of the players that were supposed to come that didn't come for various reasons. We had a few signed and then they dropped right away, probably lured away from it being a new program. Hurt us a little bit. But I think for the most part, moving forward with the group that we had, they came together quickly. They enjoyed each other's company quickly. They played good quality hockey. We understand that we are a young hockey team playing against older players, which in the big picture of development is very beneficial for us. We're always going to be that way. We're always going to be one of the younger groups because we're always going to play under 18 teams. So we'll probably end up playing with a lot of 16, 17-year-old type players anyways, years down the road. But the group was good. I think we had a hiccup 2 weeks ago coming out of our Minnesota. We dealt with it. I think moving forward, everything should be pretty much a good team environment and big picture type of mentality going forward. So overall, it was good.
And what do you think? Anything to add to Coach's statements there?
For me, I've enjoyed watching from the beginning, how they grow as individuals and in a group as a team. You see them start to take on more responsibility, take a little bit more ownership of what they're doing and why they're here. Whereas the beginning, it was, holding their hand a lot and helping them along, and now you sort of let them go. So it's been good.
And how do you feel the team's come, Anthony, from when you started and where you're at today?
We've definitely come a long way. Yeah, pretty much.
I think the accountability, and alluding back to what Zach and Anthony were saying, that Anthony said it coming a long way. I think the accountability of how they handle themselves is much better, from the standpoint of getting ready for road trips, for packing vans, for being in hotels, of eating together, of being together, of making sure that we're ready for games. All that is a progressional thing for a new group of people anyways, but for a new program where these people that we're playing against don't really know us anyhow, they're kind of wondering, okay, what's coming out? And I think we kind of wondered that ourselves, okay, what is going to come out of that locker room? I think we've solidified that.
Yeah, I think so too, following the team from its inception. The boys have come together. I think, like you said, they travel better now. I think on the scholastic side of things that the boys have, most of the boys, I can't say for all, but majority of them have figured out their time management. Anthony, I'm going to go to you on that because we've had many discussions between you and I about time management. So talk a little bit about how it started with you and how you fell a little bit behind, and bring us up to speed on that.
Well, at the beginning of the year, I wasn't used to having practice and weightlifting every day. And in 8th grade and years before, I was always a big procrastinator. So I figured out you can't really procrastinate that much. And then by the time I figured that out, it was already kind of too late, and I had to play catch up all semester.
So when you go back on the 7th, which is Monday, we got a whole different program as to how you're going to attack the scholastic part of it. The hockey part you're doing okay with. Got a long way to go there, but you're going to have a different format to how you do your scholastic part, right?
Yeah.
Very good. A lot of talking there. Thanks a lot for all your help, Pat.
You're welcome.
I'm going to go over to my sister, Miss Renee Eisler. Give me some pros and cons about being the coach's wife. From a perspective, I'm around him a lot, and it's different when I'm around him than when you're around him. But try to tell the people at home how it is, wins and losses. And I know he's not a big win and loss guy because I've been around him long enough to know that. He's looking at progression of players. But should have had your kids on here, I think. I made a mistake. But anyhow, can you just kind of tell us about how it is to be a coach's wife and the type of stuff you hear at the rinks that they don't know who you are and you're in the stands? Give us that kind of perspective.
That's the best part, when they don't know who I am.
Now they know.
I know.
Oh,
now
it takes
secret
not
now,
long to
I'm
find
not
out
on
who
it.
she is.
I don't know. I mean, I think when you guys are out on the road and that, I try to get on and try to find out like how you're doing and that kind of thing, so I can kind of gear his mood and how it's going to be. Like, the conversation is going to be a long conversation, it's going to be a short conversation. And for the most part, I have to say, with this program, with St. Mary's hockey, it's been really different versus if it was Israel or if it was Stockton Colts. It's been different. This program, I think, is because they're new, they're growing, and they're learning. And so it's fun to be the wife, to sit back in the family, to watch, because you get to see Derek really enjoy what he's doing even more so. But to see when you lose, 10 to 1 or 10 to whatever.
Does that happen this year?
And have a phone conversation afterward with you, and you to say, you know what, it was so awesome to see how they played. They just lost 10 to whatever, and he's telling me, it was awesome to see how this kid played or this kid played. And so it's interesting to hear that side of it, and I don't think the parents really hear that. I know that if I were a parent to a hockey You probably don't know it unless Zach or Derek's having conversation, but that side of it, they do both speak highly of the kids and the growth of the program, and it doesn't matter about win or lose. It's their growth.
You know what's funny is when Derek took this project on, it's easy to say, hey, this guy's going to do it for you, and I know down the road this is all going to come to fruition, but I got to tell you, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, and he does it very well. You get the kibitzing in the stands, and why is this kid doing this, or how come he's doing that? But he's got a method. I've watched him over the 7, 8, 10 years that we've been, I don't know how long we've been around together, but I watch him, and his whole thing is to test the kids early in the season and put them up against some tough odds and let them figure out where they're at, and then watch them grow. And by the end of the season, it's a whole different team than the first team that goes out there. So I think that's it's got to be tough for him because he finds the good in everything rather than the negative stuff. And it's easy to focus on the negative stuff because sometimes in some games there's a lot of it. But he always, when I talk to him, I never talk to him at game time or after the game because it's still emotion there. But when I do talk to him a day or two after, he's pointing out all the good things. He goes, no, that was really good. And so the people are thinking, just like you said, we lost 10-1. How could that have been good? But he's looking at the play of the kids and their techniques and how they're coming along and who's getting it and who needs to get it. And that's what he focuses on. You have any input on that, Derek?
Well, one of the things that Zach and I always talk about is it's kind of interesting to put it all in perspective and to where it's come full circle is that you walk into buildings and you have people and you have friends that haven't seen you in 15, 10 years, whatever, and just acknowledging the fact that St. Mary's is now having a program, and this is exactly where we want to be, and it's exactly where the program should be, and it's exactly how the development path is geared towards younger players should be playing against older players to see their resilience in the game. It's always been that way in our mind. The birth year model is the birth year model. It works in certain areas, but if the U.S. national program has their 17-year-olds playing against 20-year-olds, and then it has their 18-year-olds playing against 24, 25-year-olds, why can't you have a 14-year-old playing against an 18-year-old? Exactly. So it's just one of those mindsets that Zach and I have put ourselves in, the frame of this is exactly where we want to be, and this is the exact direction that we want the program to head.
That's good. Now I'm going to jump to another subject here. All-Star. We had a couple of boys picked from the St. Mary's Club to go play in Anaheim on the 31st of January, I believe. Can you tell me, either coach can speak up here, about the two that were picked and where it's going to go from there?
Why don't you handle Alex?
Alex?
And I'll do Clayton.
Clayton. Well, Alex is, I think no one would argue he's probably the most skilled player on the team, and he might be the most skilled player in the league. So him being on the All-Star team is a no-brainer, and it's a good honor for him, and he's going to enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. It's a good trip.
What about Clayton?
I think to piggyback something about Alex, it's going to show him that there's going to be like-minded people in the room with him that are his own age, that are geared towards developing into good players. So it's going to be good for Alex to be around that.
Now, a question to either one. I know you had discussions with all the boys just before we went on break. What was Alex's, where does he see his hockey career going from the end of this season? Where has he talked about it, or was that brought up? Or?
Well, we kind of have it mapped out for him. We've put it out in front of him, Zach and I, in the meeting, of what direction we would like to have his rest of his time, plus his spring, and then where he's going to be playing the following year. That's one of the things when you do play here, we kind of help map out a course of your development path and where Zach and I want to place the player. For him, it's understanding that there's 4 other people out on the ice, 5 plus, if you're talking about the goalie. So I think if he does that, he can go and play in the league that we would like him to play at, and that's the Eastern Hockey League. I think that would be a very good league for him because it is a pretty talented league still, and you get good looks from all the Eastern Seaboard Division I and Division III programs. Right now, if he progresses the way that he should progress, we've mentioned to the head coach that's at the place where we feel that he should be going. He could be a Division I type of player when it's all said and done, but it's up to him. You know, he still needs to get stronger. He still needs to get ice awareness a little bit more, but he'll be right there when it's all done.
That's good. He's got a way to go if he chooses to go that way.
Yep.
Now let's talk about Clayton a little bit. Clayton Brown.
Clayton, I think, was he was one of the picks where overall, I think just from a standpoint of doing things right and putting himself in a good position over and over and over again, he should get this opportunity to do it. I think from a coachability standpoint, he pays attention to the little details offensively that we want him to do. Defensively, he still has a little bit of room with his detail, and we talked about that in his exit meeting. But I think offensively, and you can see by the points he's generated for us in that league, has put himself in a position to get the honor of going and playing because he's a big frame kid.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to be around some people that are going to put a little bit of pressure on him and see how well he handles it.
That's good. I mean, it's great for both those boys to have the opportunity, and the younger ones behind them that know that there's stuff out there for them as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to change gears a little bit away. Not this gentleman plays for St. Mary's, he's sitting right next to you. Talk about the Select program. Why don't you talk to the people that don't know what Select means, what it is, where you go, what's going on, and where you fit into that program?
So basically for NorCals, you just have to sign up, and it's basically first come, first serve. So if you're late to sign up, then you don't get to go.
How many people do they allow sign up? Do we know, Coach, or I don't know.
Around 50.
Around 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then 15 players get chosen, 9 forwards and 60, and then 3 goalies get picked. And then after there, you go to SoCals, which is NorCal and SoCal, and then I think like 18 or 15.
So SoCal's doing the same thing as NorCal is.
Yeah.
So they got their own 15 in each age group. Now it starts now 05.
This year it's 05, 04, 03, 02. And then
no 2000, no 2001.
They aged out, yeah. And then after SoCals, you go to Pacifics, which is in Vegas this year.
Las Vegas?
Yeah. And then there's, I think, 4 or 5 states.
So they'll pick another 15 when you're in Southern California, is that right, 15?
They pick like 15 forwards and then like 10D or something like that. And like
then in Las Vegas is the collaboration of...
it's California.
The whole district.
Yeah,
what was that, 10 or 11 states?
No.
Nevada? No.
No, it's California, Alaska, Washington.
Alaska's its own.
Oregon.
No.
Oh, okay.
Let Coach tell you.
Alaska is out, I think. I could be speaking wrong, but it used to be Alaska, Oregon, Washington, California, Oregon, Nevada, and Hawaii.
So they all meet in Las Vegas, and they do another pool of 15 out of there, or whatever.
I think it's like 6 forwards or something like that. It's really small, and then from there you go to nationals, which is all 50 states.
And so, what does that do? You go to nationals. What does that mean to the people out there that are listening?
Basically, you're considered one of the top 200 kids in America for your age group, and then it's a camp there, a tournament-style camp, and like every scout from every league is there. And it's great exposure.
Great exposure for whether juniors or college or that type of thing.
Yeah.
What typically happens is, like Anthony made the select process last year, and what USA Hockey has done, instead of taking the youngest age group and putting them against everyone, they've made a more regional camp. And now when you get into your second year, like Anthony's just made it now to Kaha, that's when it becomes national. That's when USA Hockey becomes more aware of your progress, and they do testing, and they make sure that, they keep it. It's a very rigorous week of of hockey, and they keep the scouts and everybody kind of away, even though they're there. It's more of a USA Hockey type identification camp, to where you're either going to get invited to National Development Program, just things like that.
So these are things that the St. Mary's boys get to entertain during their year, plus get the development of being at St. Mary's under your tutelage and Coach Zach's.
And we have already 2 players coming in that that have played on that are going to the 05 CAH.
Because you brought that up, I'm going to skip a few things and we'll go back to them. I talk about the recruits or the potential recruits, I guess, for next season coming in. I know of a few, but how many do you think are pretty locked into coming? A number? You don't have to give names or that type of thing, but
we don't know exactly how many are locked in. We know that at least 11 have turned in applications. What we have done is we've made it known that the School of St. Mary's is a high academic school that has a hockey program. We want the academically strong players to know that this school is of standard, that they can win scholarship money leaving here academically, and then also has a really good hockey program. When we go and we talk to players, or we talk to families, or we shoot an email or a text out, that is where we begin. We begin with the school part. And then from there, we start introducing the hockey part. And I think what parents and families have understood about St. Mary's is that it is academic first, and then it's athletics second. And Zach and I and everybody like yourself want it to be that way. We don't want it to be a program of 4 or 5 different teams and have, a 2.5 GPA. We want to have 3.5, 3.6, 3, those type GPAs, so we can have a good average and then have players leaving here that open doors for a high percentage of NCAA college hockey programs.
I think we were in Minnesota, and we were in that conference before the game where they brought us into that auditorium-like situation. They had guys talking from the league, and what a difference it makes from a 3.4 to a 3.7 as to how many more doors open up for these youngsters, young men, to go out there. And so it's really important, the scholastic part, if you want to go on in your hockey career. It's not, I'm sure you could go into I shouldn't.
There's only 62 NCAA Division I hockey programs. So why would you limit yourself at a 2.8 or a 3.2 GPA and open up yourself to 15 schools? You've just cut off a high percentage of schools.
Right.
Why not get the academics down to where you're open to a high percentage of schools? If you're a high percentage of there, then you're a high percentage of NCAA Division III programs. So 62 schools are there. You should shoot for at least 55, 50, 56 schools to open up your academics with.
Wow.
That's what type of atmosphere Coach Zach and I want. We want kids to be here knowing that the academics and the way that we want you in school will put you in a high percentage of work. We had a young man come to us, he wants to go to ASU. Hopefully he comes to the summer program this year and meets Coach Mike Field. But Coach Mike Field will tell you the same thing. Coach Mike Field will tell you your academics have to be strong enough to get into ASU.
Right, or they won't
even look at you.
Yeah. They get no shot at all.
Yeah.
Wow. So there are a lot of stuff. These young men are being opportunities opened up for them. It's up to them to do what it takes to get there. A lot of hard work, not only in the school side, but in the hockey side. That being said, we go back to practice this coming Monday on the 7th. You get the boys ready because we have a weekend series in San Jose on the 12th and 13th. And some of these boys probably lost a little bit of their stamina while they were off, laying around and sleeping and not doing some of the stuff they should be doing. But you know, they do it. They are youngsters, and they do need to take the time away from that. So how will you approach that on Monday? Will they be skating like for an hour and a half?
You want to answer that one?
Me or Anthony?
You. You and then Anthony.
No, I'm sure that there'll be some tempo to the skate. That'll be curious to see. I guess we'll find out right away. We already know a couple of kids that'll be out of shape.
Yeah.
What about you, Ant? You ready?
Hopefully.
You're not hopefully. That's.
I mean, I've taken a little time off, but I mean, I try to get on the ice as much as possible.
Yeah, you have as much as you could be on your time off. You've been out there.
When you look at the next month and a half,
a lot of hockey.
There's no time off, except for 2 days, 3 days really, and so the 2 weeks that you just had off, 3 weeks into your season coming back, you're going to be going, holy buckets! I wish we had 2 weeks off.
Right.
So you know, it weighs itself out. The best thing that I read in social media was from one of our players. He says, missing the game right now. And that's exactly where Coach Zach and I want these kids to be, is if they miss it, then we jump back on the rink and we want to go play.
Right.
If it becomes something where they don't want to do it, then we have to reevaluate what exactly this program is going to be like.
Right. But for the most part, I would think most of these boys are missing the ice.
Mm-hmm. But it's going to be a grind for the next month. I mean, if you look at our schedule and it's right there. We play, you know, it's nonstop until February 9th.
Yeah, we were going to get on to Jay Sarah. Have you already played them? I don't recall. So you get on the 12th. I believe you did play Jay Sarah over in Solar Arena in San Jose, and then on the 13th you have Bellarmine. I think we've played them 3 times, 2 in exhibition and 1 in regulation. So this is time for the boys to get back after it. They beat them twice in the preseason. We lost not by much either. I don't think a couple goals. I think
empty net 3-0.
Yeah. So we got to get out there and create some havoc and get people talking about St. Mary's again. And then right after that, the very next weekend, I believe you're in Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
So talk about Detroit a little bit.
Detroit's going to be, we're playing the 18 and under showcase side of it. When we got into the North American Prep League, they had already decided their teams that they wanted. But when the commissioner and the person responsible for their player personnel mentioned our program to the people that were sitting around the table and who were running it, they allowed us to be in the league itself as kind of a probationary type thing. So we've got invited on the back end to the under 18 showcase part of it. We're going to be playing under 18 teams just like we've played in the past. We start out with a team from Chicago. We play 2 teams from Chicago, and then we play another team from St. Louis. The last team, Game 3, the African Americans, are one of the top teams in that under 18 showcase. They've been a top program in the Central States Development Hockey League for years and years and years, going way back to where Sean Hazelton used to run it years ago. A lot of their kids go on and play for the St. Louis Junior Blues AAA program. So there's a good cross-pollination of kids there. So it's going to be a good test. We play Romeoville Huskies, which is a good program, in the Chicago Blues, which is traditionally over and over one of the top programs in Chicago. Chicago, they don't really have, they limit their AAA hockey. Chicago Blues are technically a AA program because of their limits on their rules in Illinois. They have it down pretty well of who can be AAA. But all the kids that can play AAA play for the Chicago Blues, and there's traditionally over and over again national tournament type teams.
So we'll be up against some good competition there.
Yeah, we will. You know, Romeoville finished in the middle of the pack. Chicago Blues finished in the middle of the pack, and Afton finished first in their divisional type. And then our to-be-determined game is our fourth game, which is our crossover game. So it's going to be good.
Yes, I just got a note here that the first game is Saturday night, 6:30. The one we're going to play in San Jose against
Jay Sierra.
So, you folks here want to come out and watch them? Get over into the Solar Arena and watch St. Mary's play. They'll play there, and then if you're a real early riser, they play on Sunday morning at 7:30. So that's the next game's upcoming. We want to talk a little bit about this Great Ice 5-star, 5-point, I believe, in Irvine.
Mm-hmm.
Anthony, you want to talk about that a little bit? And they just started, I think they had a public skate on New Year's Day. So go ahead.
From what I've heard, there's 3 rinks, and one of them has like 2,500 seats. And
but there's 4 rinks.
Four rinks. One of them has 2,500 seats.
2,500
And
seats.
it's like supposed to be like one of the biggest rinks in America or something like that.
Yeah, I've seen aerial shots. That's a huge piece of property that they have down there, and I think that was put together by the Ducks organization. Am I correct? Somebody, and I don't know who I was talking to here locally, we were talking about that, and they said if anybody wants to do a facility like that or that size, should go right off their game plan. They said these people thought of everything, and obviously you guys will have an opportunity to be down there on the 26th. You play there, 26th, 27th, or 25th, 26th, but in that area, and you'll get a taste of it. What are your thoughts on that being down there? Because we have a 4-sheet rink up here in San Jose, but what are your thoughts about that as far as growing hockey? You got to love it.
Good, Zach.
Well, yeah, it's great. Like, they build rinks down there all the time. They don't build anything up here.
Yeah.
And as far as the blueprint of the place goes, they probably designed it with 4 sheets in mind.
Right.
Whereas San Jose was 2, and they added 1 and added 1 and talked about adding more.
I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last one was where the Sharks actually practiced, right? That was the first rink.
That was the third one, the South rink.
Yeah.
The last one was the East rink that they put on, but it was all afterthought.
Mm-hmm.
They had success and everything grew, and then they added ice.
Yeah.
If they were smart, they would build rinks around the Bay Area, but they don't. So I don't know how smart they are.
And why do you think that is, Coach?
And with the Ducks and the Kings down in L.A., hockey's really exploded. And during spring, we were down there for Memorial. We ran into a referee friend of ours, and we started talking about the rink that the Ducks were building and the amount of ice that's going to be there. And he said something just kind of off the cuff that it's already filled up. They've had so many plans and so much to do, they've already filled the place up, whether it's the Anaheim Ducks Hockey League, which is huge. And the way that they run this league is unbelievable. And if anybody wants to cookie cutter how to run a hockey league, it should be run just like Matt and his staff does. I mean, from every point, from instant internet access, scoring, to the way that the score sheets are done, the way that video's done, the way that the JV games are handled, the way that everything is handled. It's first class. And I think that the Ducks getting into this ice sheet, everything should be first class, because that's the way the Ducks are going to be. What's going to happen is more and more stuff is going to be now given to the Los Angeles area,
right.
Which is like Pacific District camps, Caja camps, national tournaments. All those things are going to start moving down south, because now they have a complex that they can now run those things through. Before, they've only had El Segundo, really, where the Kings practice.
Now,
that's a double sheet.
Do you think the Kings are going to try to
I think
not one-up them, but
I think the
keep
Kings
with
will
them?
probably try to do something. They'll try to build something, I think, because it's a constant down there. It's a constant battle, because they explode. The hockey just keeps exploding. And the difference between there and here is you have really highly competitive people down there. So when you're a AAA player, you're a AAA player. When you're a AA player, you're a AA player. When you're an A player, you're an A player. They have highly competitive people down there that love to make sure that they're going to one-up you and one-up you and one-up you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Here, it's like, well, I'm going to play with my group of friends and I'm okay over here. Then my group of friends moves over here and I'm going to play over here. And then I play over here. And there, it's just like, it's a dog-eat-dog, and that's the way it should be.
Well, that's how the life is in general,
exactly.
right? If you want to get ahead in life, you got to keep going after. You can't take a day off and expect to get to where you want to go. So, yeah, it's good. We're really we're really looking forward to going down to the Irvine. It's in Irvine, California. Irvine. All right. Again, either one of the coaches,
or the coach's wife,
or the coach's wife. Where do you? This was a tough one for her to answer, though.
No, it's not.
Okay, here we go. You're on, okay?
Bring it.
Okay, there's not multiple choice, is there? That's tough. All right. Improvements, where do you, she would know this. Improvements at Oak Park are coming soon. You want to expand on that?
I don't know how much I can.
Put it out there. I mean, nobody listens anyhow. There's only 3 people that are tuned into us tonight, so.
I'll let you answer.
Okay. The improvements for Oak Park, yes, are in the plans, and come the middle of January, we'll know for sure what the time frame is. I think that what is going to happen, and I'll put the different hat on rather than the head coaching hat. We will be pushing back at least till 2020 to get all the installation of everything we want done. Whether it's the chiller to possible locker rooms with Jim Bruce's help in that department from St. Mary's, to the Colt side of it, getting different locker rooms done, to the boards, to the sand, to the piping, to everything. So in order to get that all done up, we just need to extend out. The term renovation is now going to be turned to a different kind of term, which will be probably announced soon, because there are some things that we feel that if we throw that word around, then there has to be more added on top of it, if that makes any sense.
Right. And so we'll have to stay tuned to find out what's going to happen.
But it's going to be 2020, and everything will work out.
So we won't have anything major this year?
We'll still be going down in July, but the camps and everything will be going on.
Okay.
So, and then the time frame for next year's St. Mary's program is going to be the same time frame as this year's. When they come into school in August, we'll let them go through a week and a half of getting their school time down, and then we'll start practice.
All right.
Yes.
And what question would you have of us? Matt, of any of us?
I don't know.
Where do you see? Where do you've been around Derek a lot of years? His ambition with St. Mary's, when he first told you about St. Mary's that this may happen, what was your feeling to that?
Well, Derek comes home and tells me a lot of this may happen, and so there's opportunities. Like when we found out St. Mary's may happen, there was a may happen in Minnesota at the same time. So we actually went together and checked that out, and we knew that St. Mary's was a go. Honestly, I was not happy about it. I knew he was, because that was something that he wanted to do, but I then selfishly was, we're stuck in Stockton now.
You don't live, you live in Mirage. You live in Mirage.
So we do, but just because.
You mean that in a good way?
Yes.
Because you're born and raised here.
I was born and raised here, and when we got married, we left here, and that was a good thing. And then we came back, and then I was ready to go again. I was ready to just pack up and go again. No, I wanted sun. And
it does snow in Minnesota.
I'm okay with that. But yeah, but so, that was something. But even besides that, It was, but then now it's like, I'm excited. I'm excited now that the program's going, and I see, and then we actually have Abby, our youngest, that's at St. Mary's, and watching her just grow and how St. Mary's has really molded her, and then watching this program, it's exciting. It's exciting to be part of.
Right.
So
That's where I'm
happy
at.
to be here.
I'm excited.
One of the things that we always talk about is that God has blessed us with many things, opportunities, and this is one of the opportunities that had been prayed for a long period of time to possibly do. We thought it was going to be with another school here in town, but with St. Mary's moving forward, and with yourself and everybody around, it's just been a godsend, and God is now becoming a bigger entity than we understand. I mean, God's working in Oak Park, God's working in Stockton, God's working in St. Mary's, working through the kids. Hopefully they take back some of the things that we talk about into school. So, you know, we just think it's a big opportunity for us to grow closer to God and understand that God's in charge. But on the other hand, we turn our lives over. So whatever it's His will.
Right.
And if He wants to take this away tomorrow, then He's going to take it away tomorrow.
Yeah,
And
but
it's okay.
Right. I mean, that's if you live that way, then you're in good shape, because He's never going to give you more than you can handle.
Amen.
Now, I'm going to go back to Anthony. Now, if this St. Mary's thing had not come about, you had initially thought about going to Colorado and playing for the Rampage there. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, if that didn't work, you were going to be going to Lincoln High School, which is the rival of St. Mary's. So, leaving your friends, I know that you still hang out with some of your friends, but you're leaving them for the majority of the day and going to St. Mary's. How did you feel initially, and how do you feel today?
Well, first I went to school with all my friends since in kindergarten. I always went to the same school, and we all grew up together. So initially I was sad. I was not sad, but I was gonna miss them.
Disappointed.
Yeah, but I know I can make friends easily. So going over to St. Mary's, it was a easy transition, but like everyone was so welcoming of the hockey team. The team got really close really fast, and then everyone just started making friends in class, and then starting to get along with their teachers and stuff. But I'm still in touch with some friends at Lincoln, and it's always cool to see them again.
So what, do you wear half a jersey if you go watch them play? You wear
Oh
half
no,
St. Mary's?
it's all St. Mary's. You should have seen me when Lincoln played St. Mary's. I didn't even look at my Lincoln friends until after the game. Yeah.
But it's kind of like playing hockey. You're enemies while you're playing, and you're shaking hands and hugging at the end of the game.
Yeah.
That's something that I'll bring up real quick that we've talked about before, but how the hockey community in the whole is very close-knit. And I've not been around baseball or the football end, and I know they do some traveling there, but these kids, even in club hockey, they travel a lot. They're spending time in hotels together. The families are close-knit. It's amazing how many people, and you've had a long career in this too, Zach, that people, when we went to Minnesota, it was funny because this guy's like the Pied Piper of hockey coaches. Where's Derek? Where's Derek? I felt like, it's not my day to watch him, but he's here somewhere. I know I saw him in a van. But it's kind of neat how they all come together and how they stay together even though they play on the opposite team or they played 1 year or 2 years with you. And, a lot of commits in the select and these all-stars will give these kids a chance to get back together with some of the guys that they played with in the spring. So it's a good thing for young men and women. I mean, we had Brooke Bryant here over the Christmas vacation. Got to see her. What a wonderful job she's doing there. It's just amazing what you've done with a lot of these kids' career and where they've taken it. I watch these players every day, or most every day, and you see where their game's going, and it's like starting to get it, man. They're starting to get it, and I've never seen a quit in this team. I mean, we've got spanked several times throughout the season so far, but never gave up. The kids never gave up. They may have slowed down skating a little bit, but never gave up the ghost. I mean, that one game, you guys were just on the road. You're down 4, you tied it, and then you lost it. But
Ty scored the game-tying goal. Yeah.
I know.
12 seconds left or something.
12 seconds to go.
Yeah.
That was a great game.
First time we got the 6-on-5.
So
it was good, and we made the pushback, and it was good.
It's good to see that the resilience and you guys have coached these kids to understand. It doesn't matter what the score is. You got to go out there and do your thing.
Well, that gets back to Coach Stack and I talking all the time about. Everybody talks about exposure, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when the people standing behind the bench can put you in a lot of different spots in the hockey world, how much more exposure do you need?
Right.
You know, so you better play hard for those people, because it's not always the scout that's sitting in the stands that's going to help you. It's the people sitting behind the bench that are going to help you, because they can pick up the phone and make a phone call. You know, the head coach from Valor, George Gwozdecki, is former coach of University of Denver. None of these kids probably understood that their third game against Valor, they were playing in front of former University of Denver head coach. So the people that are behind benches are very, very astute to what's going on out on the ice. So you better be aware of that, and you better take notice that it doesn't matter if it's, and we talked about it, 7-15 game when he got noticed by a North American Hockey League guy.
Yeah.
And we were down 2-1. We were losing, and we lost the game. But at 7:30 in the morning, some gentleman walked through the building, and he picked out Anthony, and he watched Anthony, and he talked to Anthony after the game, and he talked to Alex Cano. But it's 7:15 in the morning on a Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And here's a guy just rolling right through the rink.
Right.
So you just never know. But you're always playing behind guys that can help you out anyways. So why take a shift off?
Right. Yeah, you can't.
Why do it?
No, you don't. And
because our work, Zach and I aren't going to stop working because we're down 5-1, 6-1, 6-2.
Do you? I mean, as a coach, I know you see the scoreboard because everybody does, but you're not coaching for the scoreboard. You're coaching per shift.
Mm-hmm.
And when those kids come off the ice, I watch you guys intently go over. He usually with the defense and you're with the offense, but he'll go over and say, hey, you know, whatever he's telling them. You go down the corner, you got to look for this, or you got to turn, you got to get out of there. You can't, whatever it might be. And you're doing the same thing with the forward offensive line. So that keeps them going. And next time I'm out there, I get in that situation, I know what to do. And that makes a big difference. Don't you agree, Anthony?
Yeah, I mean, there's been times where we've been up and they're still screaming at us.
But you're not doing the right things.
Yeah,
they're not screaming at you to scream at you.
I mean, the game's so close and there's like so much, like there's not a lot of room for error, so you have to be on your best.
We've talked about it before on the show where they all want to go somewhere, and you know Derek knows better than anybody how you get there. And if you're not doing it the right way, he's not going to be gentle about, you need to fix that.
Right.
It's in your face and fix it right now.
And that's the way it should be. I mean, this isn't a game for the soft at heart, I guess. It's a tough game, and if you can put yourself in a bad situation, get racked pretty good on a clean hit, and you might be done for a month or whatever. So it's something that you guys got to be, cognizant of all the time. And let's face it, you're a pretty big kid, but you're not as big as some of the kids you're playing. I mean, you're playing against kids that are 3 or 4 years older than you, and you're fortunate enough to have speed and quickness. That helps, but you gotta know what's going on there. Couple more things. It looks like we're about ready to wrap up. Is that correct, Governor Don? Okay. Well, you got some time?
It's all right, man. If you got something to say, let's say it.
All right, brother. That's right. We got Governor Don on the board tonight. He's the CEO of the radio station, the Voice of Stockton, KXVS, here in Stockton. We were fortunate enough to have him come out tonight because Breaky, our normal guy on the board, is under the weather, which we've all kind of gone through this season. A couple things. In May 18th now, we're going to have a golf tournament, raise some more funds for St. Mary's. We'll be talking about that more in the future. But anybody that would like to donate stuff for it will be at Oakmore about a 9:30 tee-off time. So we'll get you in on a Saturday and home around 4:30, 5 o'clock, and get you out of there. But it'll be a fun time. I had somebody think that the players should use their sticks on the tee-offs. And I said, I don't know about that, but
Putting.
Well,
they're going to clean clubs.
The
kids are going to clean clubs.
But it'll be a good time out there. Where do you see this team at the end of the season? Where, if all the stars align, everybody catches it, which we know it's going to be tough. But I'm not talking about won and loss record. Just where are the kids going to be? I know we're playing on May 4th. I know that now, but we'll be done.
No, March. We're done in March. We're going to be training April and May. Yeah. We've already started the process about talking about it. We want to be a goal-orientated team. We want to have goals individually, and we want to have goals as a team. I think our goals as a team is pretty much defined of we want to be a program that is moving forward. I think a lot of our players need to come up with some good individual goals for how they want to play. If they do that in the next 3.5, 4 months, put them in a position come May when it's time to quit at May 10th, we will probably be able to get some of the kids to good opportunities out in the hockey world so they can go try it, so then they can come back and play here their following season. Now, with that being said, how do they get there? Well, we're on the ice every single day. You're working out every single day. You're trying to better yourself. And if you have that better mentality of making sure that you are always working towards whatever it is you're working towards, you're going to be good. If you just show up and you think osmosis is going to take over, you won't. You won't.
It doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
And life doesn't work that way. Right.
So if they want to do what the team goal is and making us a program moving forward, then it's up to them. If they want to go and play after their time here in St. Mary's and they want opportunity, whatever that opportunity may be, it's up to them, because Zach and I will help them.
That's always good to know. It's good to play for an organization like that, right, Ant?
Of course.
We're very talkative tonight. All right. So, any closing thoughts? Anybody got any closing thoughts? How was your experience? I know you were a little nervous. You said you're not going to talk much.
My experience here?
Yes, that would be the one.
It was fun. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. It was very nice. You kept Coach in check, which was very nice. Anthony, Coach, you have anything closing?
I don't think so.
I do have something real quick, though. When you were talking about Brooke Bryant, there was one thing I read in the article that was one of her comments that made me reflect back on what's going on with St. Mary's. She made the comment that now that she's in
Minnesota State.
She's playing D1. She said that for her, she didn't have the prep school that we have going now. And she was talking about how that transition for her with the college and workout and everything that she's doing now is a huge transition that she's really trying to adjust to, where her teammates all had that with the prep school and that. So just hearing her say that and then now seeing this come into fruition is it's pretty cool.
It is cool. It's a great
cool
time.
to know that they've got a great opportunity ahead of them.
We got the right guy leading us. We got Jim Brewster doing his thing, Adam doing his, and the kids starting to do theirs. And I think we're heading in the right track. Got anything for us, Sam? Tell her, give everybody an update on your brother, because I can't do it. I can't. We've
been down that road.
We've seen that show.
Well, my brother has a tumor. Well, not anymore. He just had surgery on it. And he's been having chemo since, August, September?
Somewhere in there.
And so they just pulled out his tumor and a little piece of his lung and the 2 ribs where the tumor is attached to. And then he's going to finish his chemo and then hopefully be in, remission?
Remission, yeah.
At the end of April.
and thank everybody for praying for him.
Yeah, thank you.
Continue prayers.
Continue.
Amen.
Coach Stack, any closing thoughts?
No, just Happy New Year, everybody.
You are a changed man.
I'm tired. I'm tired and I'm
You can see
hot
the
and
glow.
I'm sore.
You can see the glow.
Is that what it is?
I'm so tired.
Don't lift your legs up. All right.
You had to get something in, didn't you? Rick?
You have to. You can't leave a note. You can't leave it dead like that. All right, we're going to be back here on the 18th. 14 more days. We'll be back here on the 18th. See what's going on. Keep you guys abreast. As I sign off every time, keep your skates on the ice and reach for the stars. Keep dreaming. Good night.